Hey guys, it is the last day we need to feed our sourdough. So you can kind of see, I can't really see I guess, but it is starting to bubble. You're gonna notice that fermentation on top. Sometimes you'll notice that has a little extra liquid on top. That's called the hooch. And the hooch is something you can stir in. It kind of gives it a little bit more of that sourdough, more tartness to it, or that little bit more souredness. You can also pour it off if that's what you prefer. But day 7, we are going to go ahead again today and add in some more 4 ounces of flour and 4 ounces of water for our final feeding. And then after we feed it, we can let it set overnight, and then tomorrow we can go ahead and put it in the fridge. And you're gonna know, like sometimes your sourdough, especially depending upon the weather, the temperature, you have it between that 75, at least 70 degrees, but 75, 85 degrees is really good. But you're gonna know when your sourdough is like bubbling and growing that it is ready to put it in the fridge. So, adding in your stuff, we're gonna mix it in and we're gonna let it sit. Now, if you're having some issues with your sourdough, there are some troubleshooting, so you can definitely ask in the comments and I'd be happy to help. Some things we can notice is we wanna make sure we're using obviously good water, good high quality flour. Again, the protein is important for that. We also, if we're not seeing it grow, we want to feed it more frequently. So if you're feeding it more frequently, you can maybe do like half. So instead of doing 4 ounces, you can go ahead and do 1 ounce, and then do another ounce, and then do another ounce. And that's going to allow that feeding of your starter to just feed it in little intervals versus all at once. So go ahead and mix in your 4 ounces of water, your 4 ounces of flour, and then you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna put the cap on. And you can leave it sit for a couple of hours. If it's really starting to bubble and you need it to not like overflow, I've had mine overflow onto, like I put a plate underneath it because it just was growing so quickly. And so it just really depends on what's going on. But if you're having some issues, it doesn't seem to be growing, and you're using good flour, you're using good water, then you're gonna want to just feed it in, like I said, even if you break it up and feed it twice. Feed it in the morning and night, or like I said, do 1 ounce, 1 ounce, 1 ounce. But once it's growing, so we're gonna leave it sit out. Once you feed it, you want it to sit out for a few hours after you feed it, just so that it has chance to ferment overnight. That's what I'm gonna do, put it away, let it sit for the night. But once a week, you wanna feed your sourdough. So when you're not using it, so if I'm not gonna make sourdough, I wanna put it in the fridge. But when I'm gonna make something, depending upon the recipe, you can kind of look at the recipe. Some will say feed your starter and then wait like 3-4 hours and then use your starter, put it in the thing, and then let that sit overnight or whatever. So it just depends on the recipe. So always check your recipe to see how you need to feed your starter, when you need to feed your starter, if you need to feed your starter. Otherwise, you just weigh out some of your starter, let it ferment and get warm on the counter, and then go ahead and use it in your recipe. But otherwise, you're gonna store your starter in the fridge, and then once a week. So if your feeding day is Sunday, then Sunday morning, go ahead and pull it out, let it sit and get kind of room temperature, so it's getting ready to ferment, and then go ahead and feed it. 4 ounces a week of each is what I do. If you have a smaller starter, I think you could maybe modify it, but I've always just done. So I recommend 4 ounces of water and 4 ounces of flour every Sunday. And then if you're using it a lot and going through it, you can feed it more frequently. But like I said, for sure once a week, feed it. And this is something that'll last you for years in your fridge. Always watch for, like, if it gets mold. It shouldn't. It's pretty hardy. It's something that should last. But there's a few things to watch for. Sometimes it'll get, like I said, a lot of that hooch where it's like gray or like dark colored. That's fine. You can just pour it off or stir it in, but that's just kind of what it means. Your starter's hungry is what it means. So you just want to go ahead and either pour that off and make sure it gets fed. So feed your starter. But there you have it, day 7. Follow along and I'll share with you some of the recipes, the English muffins we love, some pizza, the regular traditional sourdough loaf. We'll share those with you, and if you have questions, comment below. Take care. We'll see you later.